Hi, folks. Jeff Jones, Vice President of Local 1459, with an update for Sunday, October 25. Another great day out in the field. Really appreciated meeting people, and we had some extended conversations that were really good, and the entire field staff was out there. So thank you very much for that. I want to respond ever so briefly to the recent video that was made by President Housey about allegedly setting the record straight. And I want to date myself a little bit in the process, and that's fine because I'm proud of how old I am, and I don't want to use that against anybody the way the president does against me as being a reason why you should vote for him. But when I was growing up as a little boy, I used to watch cartoons, and one of them was called Rocky and Bullwinkle. It's still around. You could probably still find it. It always had a segment that was called Fractured Fairy Tales. And I thought Fractured Fairy Tales were kind of, on the shelf, never to be reproduced again until I saw President Housey's video today about setting the record straight. So I'd kind of like to get into that and explain it a little bit about what actually happened, contrary to what he asserted. And so, yes, we did get a letter anonymously in January of this year that alleged certain improprieties. But the whole president's entire interpretation of that completely misses the mark. And what actually happened was it was received anonymously by two executive board people who both contacted me. And when I got the second one, I went into his office and closed the door and presented it to him. And at that time, I made it very clear that, in my opinion, that this was an external phishing operation. The letter, among other things, mentioned the Right to Work Foundation, with which we'd had a couple of legal skirmishes and been bloodied a little bit. And this seemed to me like it was just another attempt to stir the pot with Local 1459. And it also perfectly fits the pattern. And for those of you who have read history, you will know that there was an internal disruption campaign that was run by the FBI in the 60s and 70s, and they probably still do it today. They call it something else. But in those days, it was called COINTELPRO. And the whole idea was internal disruption. So you're getting people to mistrust one another and burn up energy and divert resources so that they can't put those resources externally to try and do whatever the mission of the organization is, which in our case is representing and growing a labor union and fighting for labor rights. So we thought that was basically going on. I made that abundantly clear that was my interpretation. He became convinced within a short period of time that it was actually an internal operation that was aimed at him. So that meant that one of us did it. He held a hastily called emergency staff meeting in which he said there's a rat amongst us, et cetera, et cetera. So he targeted a member of the office staff. He found zero evidence, but he still terminated her anyway because she was doing some of her online tuition-free college homework on a work computer, which isn't really terminable offense to me. That's something where you have a conversation. You say, don't do it again. And if it happens again, then maybe it gets serious, but it's really not that big a deal. But in that case, he found zero amount of evidence. And so he moved on to the Secretary-Treasurer, went after him, set him up to fail. At that point, the Secretary-Treasurer wrote an open letter to the E-Board. There was an agreement reached at the time, and the president laid off. But again, there's nothing going on. And at that time, the rest of us on staff formed a staff union. And the president refused to bargain. And we're actually going to have our third bargaining session tomorrow, I'm told. And so far, we've gone absolutely nowhere because it's essentially like bargaining with a Walmart store manager. But we're a labor union, so go figure. So basically, there are three things you should take out of this, and it all has to do with leadership. In order for these for an external phishing operation to succeed, you have to have people on the inside who are gullible enough to believe it. And we did. President Tyrone Housey became convinced it was an internal operation. Secondly, in the course of the 9-month war on the staff, which has been going on and is still going on and has gotten to the point where it's resulted in the first contested election in 82 years. But in the course of that, when we formed our staff union, he has refused to bargain in good faith to get a contract done with that staff union. And the third thing is, in his video, he referred to it as a one of my videos as a professional hit job, quote unquote. I don't know what that means. I know what professional means. I think I am a professional in what I do and the way I do it. Hit job, you'll have to define your terms. But the only reason that any of that has come out is because he wrote you, the membership, a letter that alleged that. Because that's not what our campaign's about. Our campaign's about servicing the members, redirecting the revenue that the local has in other directions to better serve you, the members. And we're down a couple of people. And we think we're paid a little bit too high on the top. And we think there should be a reallocation, and some of the lower reps that do an outstanding job should be compensated better than they are. And new people should be hired to be out in the field and take care of you, the members. That's what our campaign's about. It's not about alleging that there was an anonymous letter sent. The only reason you, the membership, know about that now is because our president sent you a letter that said that. So he essentially threw it out there and then has the gall to turn around and paint us as trying to do a professional hit job, which I still don't know what that means. But he basically put his own dirty laundry out there on the line for everybody to see. We didn't do that. And I don't really have a position on any of that, other than what I've told you about the anonymous letter, which is my position, which everybody on the inside and our staff knows was my position from the very beginning, including the president, who was the first person I told it to. So there you go. So I don't know where to go with this other than I look forward to the next exciting episode of Fractured Fairy Tales. And remember, folks, solidarity works.